Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
I'm Jer Stays, and you're listening to Daily Detroit, where we share what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan.
And I'm Sven Gustafson. It's December 11th, and man, is it cold in the University District today.
I think that's because of the sadness in our hearts over our first story.
It's one of our best commercials.
I'm honestly proud.
It's so good.
Who makes that crap?
I know! They suck. I hope they die. We should find them and kill them.
Yeah, well...
Yes, it's a dark day here at Daily Detroit, friends. The TV show Detroiters is done at Comedy Central. After 2 seasons, the buddy comedy featuring Sam Richardson and Tim Robinson was not renewed. The show was executive produced by SNL's Lorne Michaels and Jason Sudeikis. Its 2-season run had 20 episodes.
This is sad news, man. That show did a great job of showing off the city that I think I know and love. It's irreverent, it's charming, it's absurd. It had me hooked from the beginning. And I sometimes wondered if it was too inside baseball. It was so on the nose about some of these like city inside jokes that unless you lived here, you wouldn't know. But I think they did a good job of communicating it. But that's exactly what I loved about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like the scenes of the kind of like local cable access Soul Train versions with like in the club with like the electro music playing and stuff. That was so Detroit.
Oh, it brought me so back. And of course, the Mort Krim cameos at the Temple Bar.
Yeah, classic. And the crews always did such a great job working with neighbors and in the city. I mean, the house that they lived in was a real house in my old neighborhood over in Woodbridge.
So, Sven, what was your favorite episode?
I got to go with the Farmer Zach episode, which I think was from the episode, season 2 rather. They played off the legendary Farmer Jack jingle, which was epic, and then the scenes with Sam Duvet, who's played by Sam Richardson, at the mic singing the Farmer Zach song with his ex, and the tension between them two. It was just, it was so ridiculous and absurd, but hilarious.
I love how it's a slightly deeper cut because there's some folks who might not even remember Farmer Jack, and to throw in that multiple layer there, that was so good. I love that one. For me, it's got to be the one where the tech company moves into their building and it takes away their private poop floor and adds Wi-Fi to everything. Anyone who's ever worked in a partially occupied building, and I have a few times, including the Penobscot, they can relate. There is nothing like the privacy and space of a private poop floor.
All right, Jer, we're fulfilling a long-held plan here with this next segment. Who you got for us?
So our special guest is David Demuth, who is the CEO of Doner Advertising, the comedic arch-nemesis to Cramblin Duvet. I just got to ask, how does it feel to win?
Well, that's why I like the show. I liked us not being the underdog for once. So it was fun. It's fun to help those guys out and offer up the agency for them to shoot at, and they were all very cool. So we liked being a part of it.
How'd that all come together?
One of our creative people knew one of the writers or producers, and I think had been helping them out a little bit with some sort of like plot lines or just batting ideas around, and they asked if they could use the place to shoot, and if we would, wouldn't be opposed to being sort of this, recurring character, the nemesis of the little guy. And I thought the premise was fun, and it would be good exposure for the agency, for Doner. So we said, yeah, let's go for it. We're happy to help you out and offer up our space to you guys to shoot at or whatever. And so it was good.
Do you have a favorite scene now that this is a wrap?
Well, I thought the scene was funny when trying to remember exactly what it was when they were meeting the woman from Quicken Loans, and they had the van and they had somebody in the back of the van. I thought that was pretty funny. I liked any scene where we were mentioned and when we were sort of portrayed as being the big, successful, intimidating agency. It was fun.
How many days did they shoot there? How did that kind of work? Do you know any of that information?
I think they shot there like a couple of times for like, maybe they shot like at the agency 2 or 3 days. They used my office once. They shot outside at our entrance, and I think they used maybe some conference rooms in our office as well.
Were there any cameos from Doner folks?
Yeah, my assistant had she was in the background once, and she found that really fun and exciting.
Just wanted to note there's one of us here at Daily Detroit that did not like the show from episode 1.
And as such, I hereby revoke Randy Walker's poop floor privileges for the next week. He's going to have to use the regular bathroom like everyone else. Sorry, not sorry, Randy. In other huge important news, Michigan-based craft brew pub chain HopCat is saying adios to the moniker Crack Fries.
While the name Crack Fries was intended to be tongue-in-cheek, drug addiction is not a joke. The drug crack has devastated many of the communities that we serve.
That's Mark Gray, CEO of parent company Barfly Ventures, in a video statement. Gray and the restaurant chain say the recipe for the French fries, which includes a beer batter and cracked black pepper, will remain unchanged. But a company-wide menu reprint in mid-January will omit the name and feature the new one, which apparently hasn't been determined. In a written statement, HopCat says it chose the name Crack Fries 11 years ago as a reference to how addictive they were. But it says customers, employees, and community members helped it realize, quote, that to make light of this drug and of addiction contradicts our values of inclusion and community, end quote. HopCat opened its first location in Grand Rapids in 2008 and opened in Detroit 4 years ago, almost to the day. In fact, Thursday will mark 4 years for them on Woodward. I know that when they opened in Detroit, at least on my Facebook wall, it was lit up about how stupid it was to name fries after crack. You got to remember, down here in the city, crack, it was a real thing and no laughing matter. People's family members died from it, and it was not a punchline. This is very personal.
True, crack hollowed out whole neighborhoods in Detroit. I mean, I often compare foods that are hard to stop eating to crack, but I wouldn't put it on a menu or anything. And, for my money, I like the crack fries just fine, but my favorites are a couple blocks down Woodward at Union Street. They used to be listed on their old menu with the epic description, "Yup, a big bowl of fries." My wife and I, that's like our tagline. We will go to our graves saying, "Yup, a big bowl of fries" to each other.
Those are good. Union Street for me is all about the dragon eggs, though. This absurd episode of Daily Detroit is brought to you in part by our friends at Milo Digital. Milo Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency that engineers quality results through data and innovative strategies. Learn more at milodetroit.com. As a longtime city resident, I can tell you that although the city often paints a pretty picture about plowing, and it's gotten better lately, on the ground the results are often mixed. That's because contractors only have to plow about 10 feet of road width. With that, you can't pass another car, and often the snow just falls right back down into the street.
Snow gonna be like snow.
Well, and here's the thing. If there's someone coming the other way down the road, you're often just out of luck. You end up playing this crazy game where you drive around the block trying to get where you're going and hope the other car isn't in your way when you come back around. It's insane. So the city says they're trying to improve snow plowing and improve this situation with some new rules and new equipment. And yes, even those bike lanes are getting attention. Let's dive in.
The city has nearly 1,900 miles of residential streets, and the new guidelines announced today mean contractors have to make 2 plow passes to clear a 16-foot wide path within 24 hours. The city also has bought specific equipment that can be used to clear 50 miles of dedicated bike lanes. The snow will either be pushed to the side or hauled away to make those passable.
And I'd add, despite the snark of some online, there are residents who end up using these even in the winter. We've got a lot of winter bicyclists that I see that basically have to use their bike since they don't own a car.
The work will be split between 5 contractors, with each contractor assigned to specific districts. Plowing streets isn't cheap either. The city says it costs $450,000 each time the Department of Public Works orders plowing contractors to clear residential streets. This added service will cost about 20% more each time, or about $534,000.
And when will you see plows on the road? Well, if it snows, 3 inches. Less than that, they're salting, and more than that, trucks come out.
Oakland Community College is looking to move its culinary arts program to its downtown Royal Oak campus, meaning an expansion is likely. The Royal Oak Daily Tribune reports that OCC officials want to move the culinary arts program from its Orchard Ridge campus in Farmington Hills and become a stronger partner with downtown Royal Oak. City commissioners are working on selling a city-owned parking lot to help with the project. Preliminary plans call for building a block-long new building along Main Street that would include a new kitchen, dining room, and gallery, and an open garden area at street level along Main Street at 7th Street. The existing buildings on campus would get new facades. Construction is expected to start within 2 to 3 years. We'll put a link to the Daily Tribune story in the show notes.
We're already looking ahead to the weekend, and the Fisher Building is hosting 2 great events on Saturday. First up, Santa Claus is coming to town and making a stop at the Fisher. So parents, if you have not taken your kids to see the Man in Red yet, this is your chance. You won't find a prettier backdrop for photos because that building is just awesome. Doing your own photography is allowed and, of course, free. Santa will be at the Fisher from 11 in the morning until 4 p.m. Once Santa gets on his Cadillac sleigh and heads out of town, the Fisher Arcade will turn into a different kind of arcade, a gaming arcade, and create a holiday beer garden. The event will have retro arcade games, beer tastings, indoor mini golf, a cash bar, and plenty of holiday shopping. I would personally suggest checking out any of Rachel Lutz's fine stuff at the Peacock Room. Wristbands for the arcade games are $5, and proceeds from the evening will go to the Ruth Ellis Center. The Ruth Ellis Center, if you didn't know, provides safe spaces for runaway, homeless, and at-risk LGBTQ youth in Detroit. The Holiday Beer Garden will take place from 7 p.m. until midnight.
Organizers of the Detroit Auto Show have signed an agreement keeping the show at Cobo Center through 2026. The 7-year agreement with Cobo formalizes the auto show's new June date, which starts in 2020. Show organizers opted to move the annual event to June in a bid to keep the show relevant and expand outdoors to allow for test drives and other hands-on events. Large automakers, including Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Audi, have said they plan to skip the 2019 Detroit Auto Show, adding to a growing list of companies that are reevaluating their participation in the calendar of global auto show events. The 2019 North American International Auto Show, as it's formerly known, is open to the public January 19th through the 27th in the last year for that traditional January schedule. In 2020, the auto show In 2020, the auto show will open to the public June 13th through the 20th.
But also, we need to be careful out there. Not only for your fellow people, but because from Thursday through the new year, police across Metro Detroit are enforcing a zero-tolerance policy for driving under the influence, drinking, or the newly legalized marijuana. And there's ride-sharing now, and it's everywhere, a lot different than just a few years ago. They're not expensive, especially compared to a ton of fines and jail time and all the lawyers and all the other stuff. For me, I'm going to Uber or Lyft everywhere if I think I may drink this month.
And as a former bartender who's had to cut people off, it's never fun. It rarely goes smoothly. People don't take kindly to being cut off. But, bartenders are usually a lot more sober than you. And if they're telling you that you got to stop drinking, you definitely shouldn't get behind the wheel. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode, friends. If you like what you're hearing on Daily Detroit, tell a friend. It's really the best way to grow the show. I'm Sven Gustafson.
And I'm Jer Stays. Thanks for listening, take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.